Well, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to revisit the SoloStove. Right now you're looking at the SoloStove Bonfire, and this has been a great unit. You can see that it is well loved. However, I want to talk about a regret that I have with this stove, and it basically comes down to its capacity, which is where I'm going to introduce its big brother, the Yukon. In this video, we'll just walk through exactly how much wood fits inside of each of these, and we'll talk through any regrets I might have from the smaller version and what I really like about the bigger one. So stay tuned. All right, so I've got both stoves, the Bonfire on the left, the Yukon on the right, all set up and ready to go. And we're simply going to go ahead and stack as much firewood in each as we can, just to show off the size differences and so that I can provide you with some recommendations on which one I prefer. So we'll walk over to the wood stack. We've got some seasoned, dry firewood over here ready to go. So sit back, relax, and we'll get this started. Now, as you can clearly see, we were able to get a significant amount more of logs in the Yukon, obviously, for its size difference. And that brings me to my biggest regret around the Bonfire itself. When you are filling this up, it is just simply too small for a standard size log. So these are standard cut wood, dry kiln, seasoned firewood, ready to go. And you can see even after just putting a couple of logs inside of the Bonfire, it was difficult for it to stack up and fit everything in there. Now this is one thing just to show off dry and not with a fire going, but it's even worse when you're trying to get a fire started. You might have something roaring and you're going and you want to add more logs and you're finding it difficult to be able to fit more in there. Whereas the Yukon, absolutely a beast when it comes to being able to put more logs in there, especially when everything's going, when you've got great coals in the bottom. It just works so much better. So when I think about these two, really, I love the Bonfire. It is a great unit. It is a perfect size for maybe just those smaller fires, but for my purposes, I want to be able to put more wood in at a time and be able to keep this thing going nice and hot throughout the fire. And this has worked out so much nicer. If I were to do it all over again, I would not buy the Bonfire and I would simply stick with the Yukon. Much better unit for what you get. The other thing you'll notice when putting in the logs in the Bonfire is that they don't stack up nice and neat like they do over on the Yukon, where you can actually make a little log cabin style fire real easily. When you're with the Bonfire, because there's such tight space, they actually kind of protrude out. And you can see if we go down on an angle, it's actually sticking out of the top, which is not recommended. You want to keep your wood below the holes that are in the top there to maintain that smokeless fire. So another win for the Yukon is just the ability for the logs to sit a lot nicer in there. Now, certainly it's going to take more wood to burn in the Yukon, so that is a consideration. But if you're like me, that's what I want. I want a nice roaring fire out here, so I want the bigger space. So that's going to do it for this video. Really just wanted to go over my review and comparison of the Yukon versus the Bonfire and my overall recommendation for the Yukon. In my opinion, you won't regret it to have that extra size just in case. There's a lot of accessories that exist for these as well. So if there's any other videos you'd like to see or any other information you'd like to gain on these, feel free to throw a comment below and I'll be happy to take a look. Until next time, thank you.